"Mom, please stop going to concerts." Sarah, my adopted daughter, spoke in a delicate voice, startling me. The excruciating pain from being pushed down the stairs in my previous life seemed permanently etched into my body, but my neck could still move, which showed that I was still alive. I had been reborn. I was reborn before Sarah, that ungrateful girl, pushed me down the stairs. In my previous life, I was diagnosed with infertility, and my husband divorced me, saying he desperately wanted a child of his own. Later, my brother and his wife had their third child. They gave their oldest daughter, Sarah, to me to raise because they didn't want me to be alone when I got older. I agreed and promised Sarah, "You will be my only child. I will leave all my money to you after I die." Sarah was crying. She hugged me, and she promised, "Mom, don't worry. I'll take good care of you when you're old." I had never been a mother before, so I thought this would make her feel better. From then on, we could spend all our time together. That's what I thought, and that's what I did. At first, I wanted to do everything I could to make her happy, but once she moved in with me, she started to stop me from spending money on anything. When I went shopping for clothes, she would keep telling me, "This dress is so expensive. You can buy one online for a few dozen dollars. It's the same, isn't it?" When I asked her to buy a bottle of water, she took the money but didn't buy it. Instead, she smiled and said, "Mom, are you thirsty? You can boil tap water to drink it. Why buy bottled water?" I thought she was just young and didn't understand, so I put up with it and scolded her verbally. "Sarah, Mom loves you very much, but you shouldn't ask Mom to sacrifice herself for you and lower our standard of living. Mom can give us a good life." I thought she would change after hearing what I had to say, but when my best friend invited me to a concert, Sarah pushed me down the stairs, and I died. As I was dying, I heard her scream angrily, "You're just wasting my money. Die already." I was desperate and didn't want to die. I was starting to run out of breath, but I kept hoping that Sarah would change her mind and save my life. Luckily, God was kind to me and gave me another chance. I was thinking about the past, and I didn't say anything for half a day. Sarah impatiently pushed me to the side, her usual tenderness gone. "I told you not to go to the concert. Are you deaf?" Her face showed anger, as if I were her enemy instead of her foster mother. I hit her in the face. "How dare you talk to me like that?" Sarah screamed and tried to attack me after I slapped her. I grabbed her hair, held her down, and hit her very hard. By the end, she was crying and threatening me. "You're a mean girl. I'll have my parents come and deal with you. Did you forget that I'm your mother now?" "You're not." Sarah was upset and ran away. I immediately called to cancel the tuition fees for my nephew Leo's kindergarten and for Sarah and her sister Emily's private, elite high school. They're a family of ingrates. In my previous life, there was still a chance to be saved, but they watched me die without helping me. In the end, they even helped Sarah get rid of my body. This time, I'll make sure they all go to hell. Soon, the door was pounded so hard it shook the house. As soon as I opened the door, my sister-in-law slapped me across the face. "Sunua, you hit my daughter, and that's not okay." I laughed at her angry face and asked, "So you're saying Sarah is your daughter?" "She's my daughter, of course. Who looks like you? A barren hen who can't even lay eggs." In my previous life, although Sarah was adopted by me, whenever my parenting methods made her uncomfortable, she would go back to her brother and sister-in-law to cause trouble. She would mock me for being unable to have children. Sarah thought that was her sister-in-law's way of showing love, but I knew she was just trying to get more benefits from me. In the past, I would defend Sarah, thinking she was still young. Now I just feel disgusted. The genes of a thankless person are truly terrifying. "Okay, since she's your daughter, I'll give her back to you today. Bring the documents, and we'll go to the authorities to end the adoption." My sister-in-law was shocked by what I did. In the past, I would have done anything for Sarah. Now that I was being so firm, she was momentarily speechless. We were at an impasse, but then my brother rushed in holding Leo. "Olivia, why didn't you pay the children's tuition? Leo was kicked out of kindergarten because of you. Do you know how hard it is to get into that kindergarten?" He shouted at me, using my English name. "Olivia, what does that have to do with me? He's not my son." This made my brother extremely angry. He grabbed Sarah by the arm. "This was the condition for adopting Sarah, you forgot? If you don't pay the tuition, we'll take Sarah back." Then take her back. A child who can't be raised properly is just a burden. My brother was also shocked. They couldn't figure out what to do because I wouldn't change my mind. In the past, they could easily manipulate me through Sarah. But now that tactic was no longer working. His phone was vibrating. I thought it was a notice about school fees from his niece's school. Today was the deadline. After a moment of not knowing what to do, my brother lowered his head and carefully asked me what had happened. I made the story longer by adding that whenever Sarah and I had a disagreement, my sister-in-law would come and scold me, constantly saying that she was Sarah's real mother. I'm embarrassed. I don't want to be this cheap mother anymore. You cheap woman, pretending to be a good person. Weren't you the one who suggested sending Sarah away in the first place? My brother hit my sister-in-law with his fists, which made her scream in pain. Finally, he kicked Sarah toward me. From now on, she's your mother. Don't ever come back. If you dare to interfere with your brother's education, I'll beat you to death. Sarah stood there with her mouth open, probably just as shocked as I was that her father would treat her this way. After all, she had secretly given them the money she had taken from me. But my brother didn't even look at her. He just kept asking me to pay Leo's school fees. I left with a cold, and said, "It depends on my mood," and kicked them all out. Sarah stood there, no longer acting rebellious. She cried and begged me, "Mom, please pay my tuition so I can go to school. If I don't go, people will laugh at me until I die." I watched her cry and then I said something. "I'll pay it." Sarah stopped crying right away, ran over to me, and acted cute. But her eyes showed that she was teasing me. Looking at her, I couldn't help but find it funny. I hoped she could handle the consequences. The next day, Sarah went to school. I took my already packed luggage out the door. My brother kept calling, so I sent him a text. "Brother, I won't be paying for Emily and Leo's school anymore. Sarah said she now owns all my money and doesn't want me to spend it. After all, Sarah is my daughter, and I don't want her to be unhappy, so I have to listen to her." After that, I turned off my phone and got on the plane. The students at that private high school were either rich or well-connected. Sarah used the money I gave her to make herself look like a rich heiress, and she was doing very well in school. My brother and his family were also living comfortably thanks to my financial support, but they were still saying bad things about me behind my back, and they even tried to kill me to get my money. Now that I'm not giving them money, let them fight among themselves. I'll see if the harmonious family from my previous life can still live well without me. The plane landed. As soon as I turned on my phone, I saw many missed calls. I quickly took out the SIM card and put in a new one. I spent 10 days with my best friend. We went to a concert, ate hot pot, and went to a bar. Young bodies moved in front of us, and the air felt full of energy. I squeezed my best friend's hand and screamed, as if I had returned to my youth. When we parted ways, my best friend squeezed my hand and said, "Olivia, a person can be happy and complete even without kids." I understood what she meant. She'd always felt something was strange about Sarah, but at the time, I was so happy about the new baby that I didn't notice her words. "I understand. Once I sort things out here, I'll come find you." I bought some small gifts and flowers at a street stall and walked home slowly. Sarah was leaning against the door. Her hair was messy, and she didn't look her usual elegant self. As soon as she saw me, she hurried over, angrily saying, "Where have you been? Why didn't you answer my calls?" I looked at my vibrating phone and immediately sent my brother a message, "I'm back." Sarah was still shouting, but I didn't get angry. I just nodded and let her into the house. "Sarah, don't be angry. Come inside and tidy up first." She looked at me angrily and went back to the bathroom to take a shower. When she came out, she impatiently asked me, "Where have you been these past few days? Do you even care about your own daughter?" She could hear footsteps coming up the stairs. I kept my cool and said, "I went to a concert." Sarah screamed, "Can't you stop wasting money? That's all my money. Only I have the right to decide." I gave her the gift and tried to calm her down. Okay, I'll do whatever you say. If you don't want me to spend it, I won't. From now on, I won't pay for your brother and sister's school fees either. Don't be angry." The door hit the wall with a loud bang. My brother and his wife came in, grabbed Sarah by the hair, and beat her badly. Sarah had several new injuries. It seemed she had been beaten badly in the past few days. "You little slut. What's your money for? Leo will be the owner of all of this in the future. If your younger brother can't go to kindergarten, I'll beat you to death." Sarah was beaten so badly that she passed out. The two of them were tired from being beaten and sat on the sofa, breathing heavily. I saw an opportunity and pinched my thigh hard. I immediately started crying and threw myself at them. "My poor child. What? Are you going to call the police? But these are your parents." Sarah struggled violently. I quickly took out my phone and dialed the emergency number. Okay, don't get angry. I'll call the police right now. Before my brother and sister-in-law could react, I had already called the local police station. My brother and sister-in-law hurried over to grab the phone, but I evaded them. Sarah was being stomped on the ground, screaming in pain. The police soon arrived and took us all away. My brother and his wife were detained, and Sarah was taken for a medical examination. The report showed that Sarah had minor injuries, which meant that she could be prosecuted. My brother and sister-in-law weren't afraid at all. They boldly told the police, "That's my daughter. I could kill her if I wanted to." The police looked at them in disbelief and didn't argue with these two uninformed people. But as the detention time dragged on, they started to panic. Leo was still at home, and no one was taking care of him. They looked everywhere for me. "Olivia, let us out," my brother shouted at me. I looked at them helplessly, but Sarah said she wants $10,000 before she'll sign the waiver. Otherwise, she'll sue you and put you in jail. My brother was so angry that he started cursing at me. In the end, he told me to take Sarah there myself. Sarah was lying on the hospital bed, barely conscious. It seemed like she had figured everything out. "You ruined me. This was all your plan." When she accused me, I smiled and admitted, "Yes, but your parents are already in jail, and I won't give them any money. Do you think they'll come after you when they get out? Do you think you can escape? You forgot, I have money. I can go anywhere in the world. But what about you?" Sarah clenched her fists and didn't say anything. She hated me completely, but there was nothing she could do. The police came to ask for her opinion soon. Sarah didn't say anything for a long time, but eventually she decided to forgive me. She thought her parents would still love her and that things wouldn't be as bad as I had said. But because Sarah was under 18, the case went through the public prosecution process. When my brother and sister-in-law heard the news, they said that if they ever got out, they would kill Sarah. The day of the trial came soon after. Sarah anxiously awaited news from her parents. She was happy that they were sentenced to probation. This meant they would soon be free again and be able to reunite with Sarah. She stood there, looking up with pride. "You lied to me. They won't go to jail. Weren't they sentenced? Probation is a form of punishment. As for you, you're on your own." Sarah was excited and nervous, but her brother and sister-in-law had already approached. She was about to run forward, but they knocked her to the ground. Soon, Sarah was held tightly by the two of them. Her sister-in-law told me, "Olivia, give us custody of Sarah again. This child needs proper discipline. I think you can choose another one from Leo and Emily to adopt." Sarah finally felt afraid. She was no longer arrogant. She yelled at me, "Mom, don't give her to them. Mom, I'm sorry. I'll be a good daughter to you from now on." My brother's grip got tighter until Sarah's arm made a loud noise. "Okay, when should we go take care of the paperwork?" I said calmly. The light in Sarah's eyes quickly faded. She struggled to move, but I didn't respond. I knew she had only chosen me because of the immediate danger. As soon as my brother and his wife gave her a little treat, she would run back without hesitation. Soon, her pleas turned into curses. The paperwork was handled quickly, and Sarah was taken back to my brother and his wife's home. Since the tuition for this semester had already been paid, she continued attending the private high school. However, since my brother and sister-in-law refused to give her any money, she was rejected by her former group and bullied every day at school. I saw her a few times from far away. Her body was covered in injuries, and she smelled bad. She once asked for my help, but I scolded her instead. My brother and sister-in-law always asked me for money, while I kept them from calling. I started looking for a good buyer for the house. Sarah is with my brother and sister-in-law, and her life is almost over. They have a strong dislike for each other. If they keep messing with each other like this, they're going to have to deal with the consequences. The house was finally sold. On the day of the signing, I packed my suitcase and was about to go out to send a package, but just as I got to the door, the real estate agent suddenly told me that the buyer had changed their mind. I tried to ask him why, but he sent me a message. "Someone has threatened that anyone who buys your house will be killed. Think carefully about who you've offended recently." Then he blocked me. The only people I've offended recently are my brother and sister-in-law and Sarah. But how could they have such influence? I snuck downstairs and found a group of thugs nearby. They were bothering the neighbors on the floor below, telling anyone who spent time with me that they'd be in trouble. What's going on? I don't remember having any problems with these people. Could my brother and sister-in-law have found out that I was leaving? Just as I was thinking this, Sarah was being dragged away by a blonde thug, let's call him Blondie. As long as I'm here, you'll never sell the house and leave. All your property belongs to me. After ending our relationship, she didn't pretend anymore. But you're not my daughter anymore. You have no children. After you die, if you don't leave this money to us, who else will get it? Before I could figure out how the news about selling the house got out, Blondie gave the order, and the thugs surrounded me. They threatened me, demanding some compensation, and said I wouldn't be allowed to leave without paying, even though it was broad daylight. The nearby neighbors, scared of Blondie, all took different paths, pretending not to see what was happening. The thugs grabbed me and took my phone. Give us the password. Transfer a few $1,000s to us first. In that situation, I was the weaker person, so giving them money to ensure my safety was the best choice. Also, I didn't have much money, so it was better to lose some money than risk my life. After I gave them the password, the thugs took the money and were about to let me go, but Sarah spoke up again. No way. $3,000 is nothing. This woman has $8 million in the bank. If we kill her, the money is ours. The thugs' expressions changed right away. Sarah and Blondie were standing nearby, looking at me and seeming angry. Blondie left Sarah and came to me. He touched my face. You're not bad looking for an old woman. Let me have some fun with you before you die. As they dragged me to a hidden area, I called for help, but since there were so many people around, no one helped me. In a desperate attempt to get their attention, I shouted, "Murder is illegal. I've already made a will. After I die, all my money will go to charity. Why don't we get married? I'll give you both the money and myself. That way, you'll have money and won't have to go to jail." Blondie stopped and looked at me and Sarah. Sarah panicked, grabbed Blondie, and kept pleading with him not to fall for my trick. But the temptation of $8 million was too great, and Blondie shook her off, taking steps toward me. Really? If you try to pull any tricks, I'll kill you. Honestly, I can go home and get my ID right now. As long as you don't hurt me, I'll agree to anything you say. Blondie paused for a second, then smiled and guided me back to my house. His henchmen followed closely behind. Sarah stomped her feet in anger, but she was also afraid of Blondie, so she followed behind. When I went into my room to find my ID, I pulled my clothes down a bit on purpose. My fair skin surprised Blondie. He grabbed my hand. "If you want to marry me, you have to show some sincerity." His eyes wandered over my body. I wrapped my arms around his neck. "I'm willing, but isn't it rude to do this in front of so many people? You don't want your future wife to be stared at by others, do you?" Blondie laughed and told everyone to wait outside, then dragged me into the room. I felt sick, but I still kissed him back and made some noise. Hearing vulgar language outside, Blondie hurriedly tore at my clothes. I took the chance and hit him on the head with the brass ornament on the table. Blondie tried to scream, but I covered his mouth and nose with a pillow. I let out a few screams and gasps, as I was worried that someone outside would hear me. When I saw Blondie unconscious on top of me, I quickly used his phone to send a message to the police. While waiting for the police, I tried to climb down the pipes, but I saw that Blondie's men were also downstairs. Soon, the sound of police sirens echoed outside. The thugs downstairs ran up and loudly banged on my door. "You're just complaining. Let our boss out right away. Dare to deceive us? We'll all die together." The house was in an old neighborhood, and the door wasn't very sturdy. I blocked the door with whatever I could find and climbed down the drainpipe. The police caught me, broke down the door, and arrested the whole group of thugs. They were all adults, and the charge of robbery alone was enough to send them to prison. Only Sarah was almost 18. I signed a special agreement that let her avoid jail time because she didn't take part in the crime. After Sarah was released from jail, she went missing again and stopped going to school. But this time, I will make sure she dies before my eyes. I wanted them to fight, but my brother and sister-in-law are cowards. They only bully people who are weaker than them. It's better if I handle everything myself. Sarah is missing. The next day, I told my brother and sister-in-law to report her missing to the police and posted a missing persons notice online. I also hired a professional team to record a heartfelt video of my brother and sister-in-law searching for their adopted daughter. After paying for promotion, the video was seen by many people. People who knew Sarah posted comments below, accusing her of various misdeeds. Some even blamed her for being irresponsible and causing her parents worry. Soon, Sarah was found in a bar. My brother and sister-in-law embraced her in front of the media, crying with happiness, but behind the scenes, they secretly pinched her several times. As soon as Sarah was brought home, My brother knocked her to the ground. She was beaten until blood flowed from the corners of her mouth. I saw that Sarah was about to be beaten to death, so I ran over to stop my brother. Enough, beat her to death. Leo will save some money that way. My brother nodded and then turned to me and said, in a couple of days, transfer that house to Leo. Think of it as a way to make up for not paying his school fees on time. Okay, brother, I've figured it out. Only someone like Leo, who's a blood relative, can be trusted. Someone like Sarah is just a traitor who only looks out for herself. The cold water woke Sarah up. She gritted her teeth and glared at us, especially when she looked at Leo. She wanted to strangle him. Her life had been manageable before, but after Leo was born, her whole family treated her like a free nanny. I took her in to feel sorry for her, but a traitor can't be trusted. I looked at her expression and said to my brother and sister-in-law, she's almost 18, why don't we sell her? I heard she could fetch $30,000. We can save it all for Leo's education fund. My brother and sister-in-law nodded in agreement, hugged Leo, and smiled. Emily watched us talk. When my brother glared at Sarah, she immediately ran over and slapped her twice. Then she looked at us, as if to say, I did it. I took out a bunch of bills from my wallet and gave them to her, trying to encourage her. Sarah screamed even louder. The beating of Sarah continued until midnight. Before leaving, my sister-in-law grabbed my hand. You're scared of those criminals. Why don't we stay with you tonight? That way, we'll feel more at ease. The calculation was obvious to her, and I couldn't help but laugh. She was clearly using this opportunity to move in and stay permanently, but she kept making excuses. Okay, but I want the master bedroom. And Sarah made me very unhappy. My sister-in-law immediately understood. She picked up the broom that was leaning against the wall and started hitting Sarah very hard. I heard my mom's voice, but my sister-in-law didn't seem to hear it. Her mind was full of thoughts about the big house she wanted to live in. There was no room left for her daughter. As Sarah's eyes got heavy, she lay on the ground, quietly crying. The older sister finally got tired of hitting her, dropped the broom, and smiled in a way that showed she was sorry. Sister, are you still angry? No, I'm not angry anymore. Anyway, she's going to be sold tomorrow. When my sister-in-law heard this, she glared at Sarah with hatred. Tomorrow, we'll sell you. Don't even think about running away. As long as your father and I are still alive, we'll catch you and sell you again. Sarah tried to say something, but my sister-in-law slapped her. She hit her so hard that her face got swollen. Before leaving, she tied Sarah up. It was late at night when we finally made it to my house. Only Emily kept searching through Leo's pockets, trying to find her new finger spinner. Sister, my sister-in-law is taking Leo to sleep in the main bedroom. My sister-in-law told me. She nodded, looking at me with a smug expression. My brother yawned and went to sleep in the guest bedroom. In his dream, he was still thinking about how much he would charge for Sarah. I watched my sister-in-law invite her into the master bedroom, which made me think about a bet I was going to make. I wonder which one of them will die first. Emily looked around the house, her eyes moving quickly from one place to another. She grabbed my hand. Auntie, my sister is not a good person. Why don't you adopt me? I'll be good to you for the rest of my life. Be good to me? The last time I fell down the stairs, she was the first to run over. She took all my jewelry and phone, and she didn't even look at me as I lay there screaming for help. We'll talk about it later. Go to sleep. I watched her come into the room, and I turned on the hidden camera. Then I quietly left the house. Sarah, will you come? I changed the password back. As I lay on the bed in the fancy hotel, about to fall asleep, I finally heard a faint sound at the door. Sarah opened the door quietly. She held the small knife in her hand and crept toward the kitchen. At night, even the softest sound seemed really loud. Sarah held the knife tightly and opened my bedroom door slowly. The blackout curtains blocked all the light from outside, with only a faint glow seeping through the door crack. She then raised the knife in her hand without hesitation and swung it fiercely toward the bed. During this time, Sarah could hear a few faint cries and a woman's screams, but she automatically blocked them out because she was too tense and excited. When everything was quiet, she covered her chest and ran out of the room laughing. They're all dead. Now we own all his money. Mom and Dad won't sell me anymore. We can all live a good life together. She quickly opened the door to the next bedroom to look for her mother, but when she turned on the light, only my brother was lying on the bed. Dad, where's Mom? I killed Sarah. We now own all her money. From now on, we can live a good life, Sarah told my brother, excitedly. When we started talking about money, My brother got excited. He laughed for a few seconds, then suddenly turned pale. Where did you kill her? He was talking about me. In the master bedroom. Where's Mom? Hurry up and call her out. Sarah was still feeling excited. My brother got up, wobbly, even though he didn't want to. When he reached the bedroom door, he could barely hold the doorknob. With a lot of effort, he turned the handle and opened the door, breathing in the strong smell of blood. My sister-in-law and Leo were already covered in blood. Sarah was still looking for my sister-in-law. You're a mean girl. My son. You killed my son. My brother went crazy, searching the room for anything he could use as a weapon. Leo's death had completely devastated him. Kill you. Kill you. Sarah stared at the pile of blood and flesh on the bed. She couldn't speak for a long time. She couldn't accept the fact that she had killed her sister-in-law and Leo, but my brother's stick had already hit her head. You bringers of death. Why didn't you just die? Why did you kill my son? Sarah tried to defend herself, looking at Emily who was standing nearby and urgently asking for help, but Emily didn't move. Finally, before she was hit by the stick, Sarah got very angry and cut my brother's head with a knife. Oh no, all of you are going to die. Die. She completely broke down and cut off my brother's head too. Why? I'm also your daughter. Everything I did was for you. Emily was too scared to move. She was frozen in place. Sarah walked toward Emily. Emily, I raised you from a child. How could you? Sis. Before she could finish, Emily's eyes widened in shock and she collapsed in a pool of blood. Sarah lost it, crying and laughing, smashing the furniture in the room to pieces. Soon, the police knocked on the door. Sarah was terrified. She tried to hide, but she tripped over a bottle on the floor. She fell and hit her head on the table corner. This made her unconscious. I didn't care about what happened next, so I lay on the hotel bed and fell asleep. After all, there was a tough battle ahead. I hadn't slept for 2 hours when the police called me. I gave the video that the camera recorded to the police. However, the police still had questions for me. Sarah said she killed you because you were going to sell her. Can you believe her? She ran away with that thug named Blondie, which drove us crazy. After she came back, my brother scolded her. And I said a few words too, but those were just words spoken in anger. How could you take them seriously? Someone gave the officer a police report and the missing person video my brother and sister-in-law had posted earlier. This proved that I was right. Sarah's rebellious teenage image was confirmed. After the police finished investigating, they didn't find any evidence that pointed to me, so I put on my sunglasses and left the police station. Soon, they sentenced Sarah. Because the crime was so terrible, she was sentenced to death. But she wanted to see me one last time. You're reborn too, aren't you? She asked. Yes. After killing someone. Do you regret it? Sarah started laughing so hard she couldn't stop. Regret? If I have any regrets, it's that I didn't kill them sooner. It seems that Sarah didn't have an easy life after I died. But she had inherited my huge fortune. How could she be struggling? Mom, I was wrong. This was the first time I had ever heard her apologize, but it was already too late. When she saw that I didn't speak, she didn't mind and started to tell me about what happened in her previous life. After I died, she did indeed receive my massive inheritance. However, my brother and his wife said that she was still a child and took her back, which meant that they could control all of the inheritance. She trusted her parents, so she gave all her money to her brother and sister-in-law's family. She seemed happy on the outside, but problems began when she started college. First, her parents used the excuse that private university tuition was too expensive to force her to attend community college. Later, they cut off her living expenses, forcing her to work and earn money on her own. Then, when Leo turned 15, he became obsessed with online gambling. In just 1 month, he gambled away all the family's savings and also got a $1 million debt. To repay the debt, her sister-in-law even planned to sell her and Emily to others in exchange for money. She refused and tried to escape with Emily, but Emily knocked her out and left her behind, running away. Later, she was sold to a remote mountainous area, where she lived like an animal for 10 years. Do you know what it's like to wish you were dead? From the moment I was sold on the mountains, I felt that way every single day, and I lived like that for 10 long years. I watched her scream, but I didn't care, because she was the one who caused all of this. Do you know? If you had really seen me as your mother, I would have done everything I could to help you and make sure you didn't worry about anything. As long as you didn't break the law, I would have fully supported all your hobbies and dreams. But you destroyed all of that with your own hands. Sarah started crying in front of me. I had already reached the door, but after a quick thought, I turned around. Do you forgive me? She looked at me with a look of disbelief in her eyes. No, I don't. I just want to ask you, where were you sold last lifetime? Who sold you? She paused for a moment before finally telling me the information. I gave this information to the police without saying my name. I said it was just some leads I found online. The butterfly effect of rebirth was already happening. If Sarah hadn't gone through all that in this life, maybe another innocent girl would have had her life changed and been trapped there forever. I can only do my best to protect myself while also helping innocent people who may need it. After I finished packing everything up here, I decided to leave this place of sadness forever. The house that held so many painful memories was finally sold. A young man wanted to open a haunted house attraction. He wanted it to be themed around horror. After hearing about the terrible murder that had happened in my house, he was very interested and decided to buy it right away. I sold the house to him for half the market price at the time. I was worried he might change his mind, so I asked him to sign the purchase contract that same day. He was very efficient and paid the full amount right away. He was probably also worried I might change my mind. Both parties felt they had gotten a great deal in the transaction, so the entire process went smoothly and politely. I wonder if the spirits of my brother and sister-in-law will ever return to that house, but I think that even if they become ghosts, they would only be cowardly bullies who bully their own family. As soon as I got off the plane, my best friend was there, smiling and waving at me. I grabbed my luggage and hurried over to her. My best friend caught up with me and held my hand tightly as we walked. She talked excitedly about the delicious meals she had prepared for me that night. At that moment, I felt a strange kind of peace, like I was filled with warmth and calm. In my previous life, it felt like I was trapped in an unknown, invisible cage, unable to escape. Many people say that for a woman to truly find her place in the world, she must have a complete and happy family. A family should have a husband who loves his wife, kind parents, and ideally a cute child. But I lost my parents when I was young, and I had to grow up alone. It was hard, and I had to learn to deal with problems on my own. Later, after I finally started my own family with my ex-husband, I found out that I couldn't have children. I went from having a family to being alone again very quickly. Sarah's presence was like a lifeline for me at the time, so I treated her well and considered her my daughter. Her presence truly brightened my life and gave me hope, but she shouldn't have schemed against me so deliberately. She could have said she wanted to leave me and live her own life, but she should never have ended my life in such a cruel way. I watched my best friend, my closest companion, grieve so deeply over my death that her body wasted away, and in the end, she died of grief at my grave. Luckily, I got another chance to start over. Now, I can once again walk hand in hand with my best friend, and I'm excited about the bright and hopeful days that lie ahead. Tonight, I want to eat lobster. I want the kind with really big claws. The small ones aren't tasty because there's not enough meat. Okay, whatever you want. We'll eat whatever you like. The door opened slowly, and I finally returned to the home that truly belonged to me.